In the days when gods walked among men, one king began a journey that would echo through eternity. By cunning, not by strength alone, the Greeks brought mighty Troy to its knees. Hidden in darkness, Odysseus waited for the moment that would end a 10-year war. And so, the proud towers of Troy vanished into flame and smoke. The victors turned their eyes toward home, unaware that the sea had already judged them. Odysseus, king of Ithaca, longed only to see his wife, his son, and his homeland again. But the sea rose against him, and the road home became a road of suffering. From the depths came Poseidon, lord of the sea, whose anger no mortal could escape. The god of the sea cursed Odysseus to wander far from the shores of Ithaca. On a strange island of flowers, memory itself began to fade. Odysseus tore his men from the sweetness of forgetting. Soon, they reached an island where no law ruled and no mercy waited. In the cave of Polyphemus, the men found food, shelter, and doom. Then came Polyphemus, the one-eyed son of Poseidon. The giant showed no pity, and the cave became a prison of terror. Yet even in despair, the mind of Odysseus did not break. With fire and wood, he shaped a weapon against impossible strength. He gave the monster wine, and with it, the first taste of defeat. When the giant slept, courage struck where strength could not. Polyphemus roared, and the island trembled beneath his pain. Beneath the bellies of sheep, the men slipped past death itself. But pride rose in Odysseus, and he gave the monster his true name. And from that name came a curse that would follow him across the sea. The King of Winds offered Odysseus a gift that could have carried him home. But suspicion and greed opened what wisdom had sealed. The winds broke free, and Ithaca vanished once more beyond the horizon. Then came the island of Circe, where beauty wore the face of danger. Circe welcomed men as guests and remade them as beasts. With a cup and a spell, proud warriors became swine. But the gods had not abandoned him. Hermes brought the flower of protection. Odysseus stood before the sorceress, untouched by her enchantment. For a time, the wanderers rested, but rest was not the same as home. To learn his fate, Odysseus sailed beyond the borders of the living. There, the dead rose like smoke, whispering truths no living man desired. The blind prophet spoke of trials still to come, and of a home in danger. In his heart, one image endured: Penelope, faithful beneath the weight of time. Beyond the mist, waited voices no man could hear, and remain unchanged. The Sirens sang of glory, wisdom, and every longing hidden in the soul. Tied to the mast, Odysseus heard temptation and survived it. From the cliffs came Scylla, and 6 men were taken into darkness. Below them, Charybdis opened her throat and swallowed the sea. At last, they reached the island of the sun, where sacred cattle grazed. Hunger overcame obedience, and the men sealed their own destruction. Then Zeus answered sacrilege with fire from the heavens. All were lost, but one, the man who still refused to surrender. The sea cast Odysseus upon Ogygia, an island of beauty and captivity. There, Calypso loved him and held him for 7 long years. Her cave was paradise, but even paradise can become a cage. Years passed, yet his heart never turned away from Ithaca. On Olympus, Athena spoke for the suffering king. The messenger god came with an order even Calypso could not refuse. With sorrow in her heart, Calypso let the wanderer go. Alone again, Odysseus trusted the waves to carry him home. But Poseidon had not forgotten, and his anger rose one final time. The raft was shattered, and with it, almost all hope. From the sea came mercy, small but enough to keep him alive. At dawn, the broken king reached a foreign shore. There, innocence found him before fear could turn away. He came not as a king, but as a beggar, asking for kindness. The Phaeacians welcomed the stranger into their shining halls. Yet even among music and abundance, grief sat beside him. At last, he spoke the name that had crossed storms, monsters, and death. He told them of Troy, of gods, of monsters, and of the home he had not seen. The Phaeacians gave him passage, swift and silent as a dream. While he slept, the long road ended on the soil of Ithaca. But home was not yet peace, and Athena came with counsel. To reclaim his house, the king would enter it unseen. In the palace, Penelope waited, faithful against the hunger of time. But in his halls, lesser men devoured what was not theirs. His son Telemachus had grown into manhood beneath the shadow of uncertainty. Then father and son were joined again, not in peace, but in purpose. Only old Argos knew him at once, and with that final joy, let go of life. A scar spoke what the disguise concealed. Penelope set the trial. The bow of Odysseus would choose the truth. Many hands reached for the king's weapon, but none possessed the strength of the king. Then the beggar stepped forward, and laughter filled the hall. But the laughter died when the bow sang in his hands. The arrow passed through the axes like fate through the lives of men. The beggar was gone. The king had returned. Those who had mocked him now trembled before him. Father and son stood together, and justice drew its bow. The hall became a battlefield, and every stolen feast demanded payment. At last, the final voice of arrogance fell silent. The house of Odysseus was cleansed, but victory carried the weight of sorrow. Then came Penelope, who had waited too long to trust too quickly. She looked upon him not as a queen, but as a wife, afraid to hope. So she spoke of the bed, the secret only her true husband could know. And Odysseus answered with the truth carved into the roots of an olive tree. After 20 years of war, wandering, and grief, husband and wife were one again. Morning rose over Ithaca, and with it came the promise of peace. The son returned to the father, and age itself seemed to soften. Then Athena brought peace, where vengeance might have continued forever. The house was whole again, father, mother, and son beneath the fading sun. Odysseus had crossed the world, only to learn the true meaning of home. And so, the wanderer came home, and his name became legend.